In this video, I'm going to show you how to configure the Grandstream PBX with extensions, SIP trunks, inbound and outbound routes. So the first step we're going to do is log in. Now, the first time you log in, you will need your initial password, which can be found on the back of the PBX. And when you log in, you'll be presented with the setup wizard. So the first step we're going to do is enter a new username and create a new password. We need to enter our email address in here, and this can be used in the event that we forget our password. However, one thing to note with this is that you will need to set up the SMTP settings for this to actually work. So now we'll go next, and we'll pick our network settings. Now, by default, it's in switch mode, so this just acts as a normal switched device on your network, and it's in DHCP. Now, for a production environment, I'd recommend setting this to static, obviously. However, for the purpose of this, I'm going to leave it on DHCP and click next. Now I'm going to set my time zone so the PBX has the correct date and time. And the last couple of steps, we can create extensions and trunks and routes, but I'm going to skip these steps for now because I'm going to show you how to do this manually. Okay, so now we need to log back in with our new username and password. And you'll be presented with the dashboard. So if we come down to extensions under the extension trunk menu, you'll see we don't have any at present. So let's go ahead and add an extension. Now, there's a couple of ways we can do this. So first we'll start off by just creating a single SIP extension using extension number 1000, and we'll set the call privilege to international, and I'll explain a little bit more on call privileges later, but for now just set these to international. SIP password, now let's just leave the default randomly generated, and we can leave all these other settings on their defaults as well. So let's just click save. And that's our first extension created. Now if you want to add a bunch of extensions at the same time, there is a batch option. So let's create a batch of extensions, and we'll create 5 extensions in total, incrementing by 1 extension number at a time. And this time we're going to start at extension 1001. For the caller ID number of each extension we create, we want to use E. Now E in this field means that it will use the extension as the number. Call privileges, again, set that to international. And then for the SIP password, we want to use R, which means that it will generate a random password for each extension. And we'll leave all the other settings on their defaults and click save. and you'll get a prompt here showing you which extensions are going to be created. So let's go OK. Okay, so now we have our extensions created. We want to come down to VoIP trunks and create a SIP trunk. Now, you've got a couple of options. We've got a peer SIP trunk, a register SIP trunk, or an account SIP trunk. So I'm going to create a register SIP trunk. This is one of the most common ones. Now, in here is a bunch of providers. So if your provider is in here, you can select these and it will give you some of the default settings for that provider. However, I'm just going to give this provider a random name. I'm not going to select one out of the list. So this is going to be my 2Talk one. And for the host name, this is the SIP provider's SIP server. So in this case, sip.2talk.co.nz. Transport. So for now, we'll just leave this on UDP. However, you will want to have a look at what your provider uses and recommends, as UDP is unencrypted traffic. So you may want to be using TLS or something more secure. For the caller ID, we're just going to leave those as their defaults at the moment, as with all the other settings. So we can come and adjust these later, but for now we'll just leave them as defaults to get the trunk up and running. So for my username, this is just going to be my phone number on the trunk. So I'm going to enter this now. And then for the password, this is the password that is in tied to the phone number on your account as well. And now I'm going to click Save. Okay, so once we've got that, we can come down to our outbound routes. And we are going to create an outbound route. Now, at the moment, we're not too concerned with who can dial out. We just want to make sure that calls are going out. So we're going to call this all outbound. And for the pattern, we're going to give this a wildcard pattern, which means that it will match any number. So if any extension is dialing any external number, it will match this route and allow the call out. For more information on the patterns, you can have a look at the tooltip here, and you can create your own patterns here if you want to add multiple outbound routes. And there are some reasons why you may want to do that, which I will show in a future video. For the privilege level, now this ties back to the extension. So our extensions were on international permission or privilege level. So whatever we pick here, we need to make sure that the extensions can use this route to call out. Now, international is the highest permission level and internal is the lowest. So because our extensions have got the highest international privilege level, we could actually specify any of these privilege levels here, and the extensions will be able to use this route. However, because this is a wildcard route and it allows you to call any phone number, I'm going to make this the international privilege level route. Once we've done this, we select our trunk that we created in the last step and we click Save. Okay, so for the inbound routes, we now need to create an inbound route for calls. Now by default it's selected our trunk and we're going to give it a name. Let's call it main route, and we're going to give this a pattern. Now normally here I would recommend using the pattern of the phone number for this trunk, and so that means that when the call comes in, if the pattern matches the incoming call, so in this case if someone calls this trunk, which this is the phone number for this trunk, then it will match on this inbound route. Now if you've got only a single inbound route, that may be okay to use the wildcard one that you've got, but if you do plan on adding more SIP trunks with different phone numbers, then it's recommended best practice to use the phone number as the inbound pattern. So now we've done this, we need to pick a destination. So when the call comes in via this trunk to this number, where are we going to send it? And in this case, we are just going to send it to extension 1001. So we'll click Save. And now we've made all those changes, we're going to go and apply them. Okay, so now the settings have been applied, we'll go to the dashboard, and we'll have a look and see if our trunk is online. At this stage it's showing unregistered, so let's just give it a minute and see if it comes online. There we go, it's now gone blue and it says it's registered. Now if yours doesn't show blue and registered, if it's showing unregistered or abnormal or rejected, then you'll need to troubleshoot why. Common things with that will be check your user name and your password, the SIP server, and depending on your provider, some providers do require other specific settings. And if those are not correct, then that may be a reason for your trunk being rejected, or you may have an issue with a firewall or something like that in between that is causing the issue. Okay, so that is now all set up. We're ready to assign our extensions that we've created to our phones. And that is what we'll do in the next video.